Hi, welcome back to Tea Time with Allie and Angelique. I'm Allie.
I'm Angelique.
And, we're not inside, but it's because it snowed. And it's still flurrying a little.
Just a smidge.
And where we live, that doesn't happen but like every 2 or 3 years. So we thought we'd share it with y'all.
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's also very cold.
It's also cold, so we're going to go inside now. We are now back inside and all roasty toasty. Toasty. And since we didn't have tea bags this time, we picked out each other's tea bag readings. So Angelique, yours is this one right here.
Ooh, how exciting. My tea bag, which Allie picked, is "The person, be it gentleman or lady, who has not pleasure in a good novel must be intolerably stupid" by Jane Austen. And that is a great quote. I love it.
Yeah, she knows who said it.
I love Jane Austen.
Right. Mine says,
where is this one?
Nothing ever becomes real till it is experienced. That's stupid. There are plenty of things that are real that I've never experienced, like skydiving. Never done that, but I'm sure it's real.
Tell John Keats.
I will.
He's dead, but you can if you want to.
All right, so anyway, today we're going to talk about being enough. And so we've gotten this progression, I think, of like, we talked about vulnerability, we talked about insecurities. Now we're going to talk about being enough, which is something a lot of people struggle with, the idea of being enough.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just preface this with saying, like, honestly, if you're looking at it as like being enough for heaven or God or Jesus and all of those things, like, you're never going to be enough. And that's just the like of it, like. And then, so like in a Bible study one time, the person leading the Bible study, she told me, in the whole group, she's like, don't ever say enough, like, because you're never going to accomplish being enough for heaven. Like, we're not worthy of heaven, you know?
Well, see, in my mind, often whenever like you feel like you're not enough or you're struggling to feel enough, it's the devil whispering you're not enough to bring you down. Because if you're not good enough for heaven, then you might as well sin. You might as well keep doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You might as well not try because you're not going to get it. You're not enough.
Yeah.
And so that was more of what I was thinking, was that like it's definitely like we're not enough. That's true. But whenever you're hearing it or feeling it, it's typically Satan trying to keep you from trying. Mm-hmm. Because the best way to be a saint is to do your best to strive for sainthood. It's a worthy goal to strive for heaven. It's not a worthy goal to strive for purgatory. That should never be your aim. And I've heard that said, that some people are just working towards purgatory.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like my thing is I wasn't saying that doesn't mean don't try to be enough.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people will also say, well, I'm not enough for like not just for heaven, but for like other people. Mm-hmm. Like I don't do enough. I don't
work enough. I don't think enough. I'm not pretty enough.
Yeah. And
I'm not skinny enough.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's part of those insecurities that we talked about last week is what's like fueling that being enough.
Actually, if my memory suits me correctly, in that book that you let me borrow, The Sinful Thoughts.
Oh, that's a really good book.
Yes.
If you have not read Overcoming Sinful Thoughts, you should. It was a phenomenal book. I would recommend it.
It's a great read.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there's a chapter on how you thinking you're not enough and like you're not good enough and you're not doing enough for heaven is kind of a form of pride. Like, my bad is so bad. My bad is so bad. I'll never make it to heaven. So it's like a form of pride as well.
Interesting. I forgot about that. So
that was very profound to me, because that's one of my biggest things. Like, I'm not worthy enough to receive the Eucharist. I literally pray that every time we're doing the Eucharist. But I thank God that like I can receive the Eucharist.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like,
Yeah.
am I being prideful when I
Yeah.
think that, when I pray that? I don't know. Jury's still out on whether or not I think that that's being prideful.
That book was very humbling.
It
when
is.
I read that book, so it took me like a year and a half, I think, to read that book.
Yeah, it's taken me
Because
quite a long time.
It's like, what, 12 chapters?
Mhm.
And each chapter, I feel like you really have to like soak in.
And you sit with it.
Like there was one suggestion, and it was like, write down your 3 biggest sins. I don't know if you've gotten there
Yes,
yet.
I have.
And then pray
And then
about,
put them next to your bed.
yeah.
And every morning pray to overcome them.
And that's actually how I started the writing down the 5, like before I go to bed, I write down 5 things that I'm thankful for that day. And it could be something as simple as like getting up in the morning, because like I'm thankful that I got the opportunity to once again like try to be worthy of heaven one day, you know, like something super simple or super basic, or like, hey, I had ice cream today, that was really nice.
It was
like,
really good.
Like, because there's good in every day.
Mhm.
It might not be a great day, but there is some type of good that God worked in your heart every day.
Yeah. So you
and
just look for the good.
That, like, honestly, that started my nighttime prayer routine, that book. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
It's really good. I'm almost done. But I like to read, like, I don't even read a whole chapter. I'll read, like, a section in adoration.
Yeah.
And then I'll sit with it, and I'll think on it, and I try to reflect, like, what this section is saying about my own life.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to jot down little notes. So it's taken me a very long time, because we go to adoration every Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
Yeah. No, I remember thinking, I'm never going to finish this book. There's too much in it.
It's so
The
much.
last chapter is about that striving for purgatory, too. Fun fact. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard people say, I'm not striving for heaven, I'm not good enough for that, I'm just going to strive for purgatory.
Which is a sin in of itself.
Yeah.
Because our goal should be heaven. Like,
Absolutely should be heaven.
any relationship that you have, your whole point of being here on earth is to do good works and strive for heaven, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, it's not, like, any relationship you have should be a relationship that is helping you get to heaven. Like you should be willing the good of that person to get to heaven, and they should be willing that good for you. And I think we've gotten a little off topic, but
we did a little bit, but that's okay, because you are enough.
yeah.
Well,
You are enough.
you are doing your best to be good.
What is
enough.
it? Enough.
Yeah, you are enough. Yikes.
Yikes. Yeah. We went and saw the Barbie movie, and
And now we make this joke way too
all
often.
the time.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times, I think with women especially, our being enough is really difficult these days, because we are told so many different things about what a woman should be. Oh, you should have a career, you should have a family. And like, something that I was telling Angelique that's really hard is like a single woman at like 26 is that you have that instinct to want to take care of people in your life and like kids, but you don't have those yourself. Right? Yeah. And so it's like a difficult thing. Like, where do I put this taking care of energy into...
Yeah, and it's also kind of a benefit, though, because you have to think about the fact that you are a teacher, so you are putting into kids.
Well, and it's funny because my boyfriend had made a joke one day about...
You're practicing.
I was like, no, that was not it. He legitimately, it was something along the lines of, I said, what do you think why do you think I did this as a job? And he goes, to fulfill the motherhood that you don't have yet. And I was like, it like hit right here, but like,
it's true.
It's true. Like, I take care of these children every day. Like, not take care of them. Their parents take very good care of them. But like, I educate these children, and
keep them alive
anticipate these needs that they have, and I try to do my best for them. And like, I'm not saying I'm a parent by any means, because I don't know what it feels like to love a child the way a parent does. But like, I love these kids in my own way.
Yeah.
And so like, and I anticipate their needs the way that a parent would, but not exactly the same, because I anticipate different types of needs.
Yeah. And you definitely like nurture their growth.
Yeah. And so anyway, but like the sense of that is like, women, like, I feel like we can't win these days, especially with the types of being enough. Because if you work too much, you're not at home with your children enough. If you're at home with your children, you're not working enough. And so it's like,
you're not giving enough to the society.
Exactly. So there's really, and it sounds very like, oh, woe is me, woe is women. But like, it genuinely, because of certain things in our society, we have no way of like truly knowing how to be enough as a woman.
Yeah.
Because we don't know we don't have a direction as to what real and true femininity is.
Because we're not in the home like women should be, but we're, you know, trying to keep ourselves afloat if you don't have a home to be in, because you know, we rent. It's not ours. And also we're not married, so we're not building a home, we're not raising a family. So it's kind of weird and it's kind of hard, but
yeah. And it's like you have these desires as a woman, these feminine desires, and you can't accomplish that. And like, I think even like looking at it, trying to like see it from a men's perspective now, I think it's also really difficult for a man to be enough, because like he can't like if he does certain types of masculine traits, it's considered toxic, which is stupid
and unfair and unrealistic.
Because, and I'm not saying there aren't toxic traits that men have, but there are also toxic traits that females have. Like I've heard, I don't like the term toxic masculinity, because like masculinity itself shouldn't be something that's toxic. So it's not that the masculine is toxic, it's that they are a toxic person. And they're
living their life toxically.
So it's like any type of masculine trait these days that are desired are considered toxic masculinity, which should not be the case, because we need the masculine and the feminine. And I think that's a really hard part of how we can't, in today's society, we can't even pretend to be enough, because there's no clear line for, like, our gender roles are so skewed. And I hate to say, like, I believe in gender roles. I think that there are strengths that women and men have that we need in a society that we are lacking.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's nearly impossible to do all the things you need to do to be enough for our society. Because, like, if you do one thing just slightly more, then you're not doing enough for another area. And that's both men and women. Like, if you're working too much, then you're not being there for your family enough. If you're with your family too much, then you're not working enough. You're not making enough. You're not doing enough to give to the society as a whole. And so it's just, there's no winning with our toxic society. I'd say our society as a whole is pretty toxic.
I would agree.
And so I think that the hardest part is that, like, no matter what you're doing, somebody thinks you're not doing enough.
Yeah, and
then that weighs on you, and you feel it, and you hear it every day. Like, oh, you're working a 9 to 5, but you're staying until 8. You're not with your family enough. You're a bad parent. Or, oh, you're working your job from 3 to 11. Wow, you're missing all of your children's waking hours if they're not at school. You're a bad parent. Like, no matter what we do, like, you're providing for them, but you're a bad parent because you're not with them. But also, if you're with them, then you're a bad parent because you're not providing for them. And it's just this toxic cycle of no matter what you do, it's not the right thing. It's not enough of a thing.
Well, and then I think there's also, in society, there's also this sense of entitlement that people have to your time. And I think a lot of it attributes to, like, the texting, the instant gratification, and, like, the fact that we have email on our phone. Like, if you don't respond to this email from work at 7 o'clock at night, then you are not doing your job. But my working hours are this time to this time. And, like, I do understand that sometimes there are, like, emergencies that have to be dealt with. Like, as a teacher, there are times when, like, sometimes I do need to have my phone and I do need to respond adequately, right? But I also try to set boundaries between work and home, because, like, I do also need my personal time. Like, I earned that personal time. And so, like, there's a sense of entitlement in our society too that contributes to that feeling of not being enough. Like, you're like, oh, if I don't respond to this email at 8 o'clock, I'm a terrible teacher.
Yeah.
These parents are going to hate me.
And it also doesn't help that parents assume if you don't have a husband and you don't have children, that you are required to revolve your entire life around them and their kids and their needs. Because...
See, I've never felt that, though.
So I had that problem. I've had multiple parents be like, what do you mean you couldn't answer me at 9 p.m. at night? You have no responsibilities other than your job, so why are you not available? And, like, it just feels like I, as a single woman, I feel like they expect me to give more of myself because I'm a single woman. Like, they're not asking married women with children why they're not answering at 10 p.m. at night. Because they're married with children, they have a family responsibility. But because I'm single, they expect me to be more willing and able to stay late and work late. Like, anytime we're doing things late at night, my job's like, what do you mean you don't want to come and go to this meeting at 6 p.m.? Mm-hmm. You have nothing to do at home because you're single. Why wouldn't you want to give us your time? And it's just like, it feels like because like single people don't have responsibilities at home, they're required to give more of themselves to the workforce.
Interesting. See.
And it's definitely like that, and I think it's even more like that for hourly workers.
Yeah.
Versus like you have set allergies, like allergies. You set hours and a salary, so you get to have your life and your free time more than I do. Because why wouldn't I want to work late at night for more money when I get paid by the hour?
See that. I didn't even think about that.
And like when we do, like they do like babysitting events where like we keep random kids from my job late at night so parents could have like date nights, and they like to do it around Valentine's Day. If you're a single teacher, they almost expect you to volunteer to be there whether you want to or not, because you don't have a responsibility, you don't have a husband to be with for Valentine's Day. Why should you have time off? Like, you should just accept having more work because you don't have anything to do, even if you don't want to give your time. So it's just like, it's like you could earn more money. Why would you want to be at home?
Listen, I spent a lot of Valentine's Days alone. I like to spend those days eating chocolate by myself.
But they also do that with holidays, like especially like blue collar workers, like in like restaurant industries and like even nurses. If a nurse is unmarried and doesn't have like a big family, they're like, why would you want to be home for Christmas? Come and do work and we'll pay you overtime. And they just expect that single nurses would be more willing to work overtime than to be off, and they don't give them time off. Like, I've had friends that are nurses that if they request time off for Christmas or Thanksgiving or like Easter, they're told no, like you don't have a family, you don't need a family holiday off.
I have never thought about that. Well, and like my job, I have realized how fortunate I am in my job. And like, yes, teaching is hard. And like, we do get paid for 9 months of work in 12 months. Like, that's how our pay works. Like, I get paid all year long, but I get paid for 9 months of work over 12 months. And some schools will just pay you for the 9 months, or like some districts will allow you to request just the 9 months, and then some teachers will take jobs during the summer. And like, but I also am like, other people's jobs are hard too. Like, it's like I and I am very fortunate with my vacation time. I rarely have to take a day off from teaching. And I actually sometimes will feel bad when I take a day off from work, because I'm like, I get all this vacation time. Why do I need a day off?
Yeah.
But there are some times when you just need that day, you know? I definitely, towards the end of working for a public school, I was like, I have this many days, might as well take a day off. Oh, you need me somewhere? I'll take a day off. Like, it was very much like, I was very like, I had 10 or so days, or I think I had 8 days still by the time I finished there that I hadn't taken from the 4 years that I had worked there. And so like, I just never thought about it that way. We have very derailed this conversation, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, we're not doing enough for our jobs.
We aren't
taking time for our families.
Or taking a day for ourselves. Like, and I very much feel the opposite of like taking a day off from my job now. Like, when I had to take off for my brother's wedding, it was like I took half of a Wednesday, and I probably could have taken the whole Wednesday. I should have. And then the Thursday and then the Friday off, because I didn't want to travel after I'd been at a wedding, you know? And so whenever I took all that off, they were like, oh yeah, go to your brother's wedding. And they had like the Halloween festival or whatever. And I missed it. And like, it wasn't a requirement to be there, but I felt bad. And they were like, no, like your brother's wedding is like, this is a one-time thing. Like, don't worry about it. We'll find somebody else to hand out candy. Like, and so it's just one of those things where it's like a very different feel than whenever I worked at a public school.
Well, I also took off for your brother's wedding.
You did.
And they made me make the booth for the Halloween thing before I left, because how dare I miss their Halloween thing that they weren't paying me to be there for.
Yeah.
But I was required to be there for.
Yeah.
And so it's just different. It's different among careers. Like, we're both teachers, but I'm paid hourly.
And I'm salaried.
Yes. And they require different things of us.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot. Wow, 20 minutes. That's a long video. Almost 21. So, anyway, there's a lot to being enough and all of those feelings. And that, I think it feeds into insecurity too. Because a lot of us, the reason we feel insecure about something is because we always feel we're not doing enough of something.
Yeah, we're not working hard enough. But also we're not pretty enough. We're not skinny enough.
Oh gosh. That didn't even get into beauty standards.
Yeah.
Like, alright, so we realized in the middle of the last video that we talked far too much.
We had a lot to say, apparently.
Yeah, we didn't even... I love it whenever we go in and we're like, I don't know what we're talking about. And then it's 40 minutes long almost.
Yeah, so...
it's going to be fun to edit.
So we're going to go ahead and do a little mid-break.
Yeah.
So that you guys can have smaller digestible videos instead of a long tangent video of us going off. So... there's
just a lot that was to being enough that we didn't anticipate going in. Like, we talked about being enough in your job, being enough for your family, being enough for yourself, being enough beauty standard wise, being enough faithfully. And so there was a lot that we honestly could have gotten into more.
Yeah, there's way more things we could have said.
I didn't even think about how we could have broken it up into basically like 4 different videos. And like, we could have talked about being enough at your job, being enough as a woman, being enough as a man, being enough as all these things. We could have done that.
We could have kept going, but
we didn't. And so we're cutting it here. And I think it's right at beauty standards if I
cut it right.
Assumed right.
Yeah.
But you know what they say about assuming. So
anyway, so like, subscribe, comment, share, ring the bell so you get our notifications. Help us on our journey to be YouTube influencers, because that's what our goal is, right, Allie?
No, I want to meet Michael Knowles. That's the goal.
Oh, that's a good goal. Actually, we want to meet Michael Knowles.
You tell him.
Anyway, keep striving for likeness and join us back in 2 weeks for the end of this video.
Yeah.
Next week's a Marian Day, then we'll go back to this video. So we'll see you then with this video.
This is gonna mess up our schedule. I'm gonna have to look at the list.
It's fine. We'll just have to wiggle some stuff around.
No, it's gonna mess up our spreadsheet. Anyway, I gotta fix the spreadsheet.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, let's go.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
How dare you?